In this video, I am not going to go into the evidence that these beings exist. The evidence is everywhere. You can look at the Ariel school incident. You can look at the law enforcement that have documented seeing these things. You can look at Bob Lazar. I mean, there's so many different evidence that these beings are real. I don't want to go into arguing if they're real. I want to suggest a very real hypothesis. The very real hypothesis being that these beings are watching specifically preppers. These beings, some call grays, Zeta Reticuli, Solipsi Rai, whatever we call them, these beings appear to know what's going to happen in the future before it happens. They seem to think that society is going to have a period of decline and collapse. It cannot go unnoticed that these beings seem to think a lot of the same things that preppers think, that society is going to have some type of collapse, implosion, or decline. These beings seem very interested in nuclear weapons. According to eyewitness testimony, they've shut down nuclear weapons silos. I have had my own personal experience with these beings, albeit in dreams. At least as far as I know, it was only dreams. I do admit that sometime within the last several months, I did experiment with psychedelic drugs. And in the course of taking psychedelic drugs, again, I'm not a drug addict, but this is something that I did. I took some psilocybin, and it was from mushrooms. Not that hard to find. I did trip a little bit, and when I was tripping, I did have contact with some insectoid-like beings. It was very strange, right? And I'm not going to go into the conversation I had with them because it's very personal, and I don't really want to go into that too much. I'm not really ready to talk about that. But I will say that I have had a consistency of stories coming out from my friends that have done the same thing. We're all seeing the same thing. Those of us that have experimented with Datura is a nightmare. I do not recommend you take it. I shouldn't have even taken it, but I did. Datura was an absolute nightmare. Psilocybin was a little more enlightening. Uh, Datura was to confront my dark side. But anyways, I believe there's real medicinal therapeutic value in these drugs, and I believe they're being suppressed by the government for a reason, not because they're likely to be abused, because we really don't see anybody abusing these, not really compared to drugs that are way more readily accessible. Alcohol is, in my opinion, way more likely to be abused than psilocybin, but that's a subject for a whole nother video. The bottom line is people continuously see these beings when they get high on psilocybin, when they use psilocybin to try to have a connection with the universe or the unseen powers that guide the world. And I'm going to present to you guys the Lovecraftian hypothesis that in a universe that is billions of years old, Shakespeare said, "There are more things in heaven and earth than I ever dreamt of in mere philosophy." The reality is that if we live in a universe that's billions of years old, the assumption that we know everything that's going on around us is actually a pretty silly assumption. And if there's a race of beings that has interdimensional traveling capabilities and can manipulate time and space, they would be indistinguishable from gods. And this is something that H.P. Lovecraft seemed to believe in. And I'm coming to the realization that our pagan ancestors were correct, that there are many gods and that these are simply beings that have been around for billions of years. I'm not going to tell you my own personal anecdotes, my dreams, and my psychedelic uh, vacation I went on. I don't want to go into that because it's deeply personal. But what I can tell you is that I am thoroughly convinced that these beings have a particular interest in preppers. I'm convinced that these beings think that there's going to be a civilizational decline, and that many human beings will die, and that a very select few will make it. And those that will make it are obviously going to be humans that are able to adapt to the changing world. I believe that there is going to be a great collapse, that there is going to be some type of purge. Evidence suggests that civilizational collapse will look more like Yugoslavia than Mad Max, but Yugoslavia, in many ways, was post apocalyptic looking to anybody that lived through it. That's a subject for another video as well. But the collapse of society is all the more horrifying because of humans' tribalism, which can be negative as positive. The negative aspects of tribalism can lead to things like genocide, torture, and all types of dehumanizing practices, whereas the positive aspects of tribalism can prevent war from happening in the first place using peace through strength, mutual understanding, and mutually assured destruction and deterrence. The problem is when deterrence fails, the consequences are all the more devastating, which over a long enough period of time, devastating consequences arising from human beings' access to deadly, dangerous technology seems to be inevitable. The democratization of weapons of mass destruction, including not even nuclear ones, but biological and chemical ones, it seems like an inevitability. Smaller and poorer states having more and more access to very dangerous weapons, that humanity's collapse and decline seems inevitable. We are not spiritually ready for the current level of technology that we have. And it's pretty clear that these beings are monitoring the situation and they seem to know what's going to happen before it happens. My hypothesis is that preppers are going to be the survivors and that the beings that are watching us know this. Are these beings from our future, or are they from our past, or a combination of both? Can we even comprehend what type of level these beings are on? Does the past, present, and future even matter to them in the same way it matters to us? I don't think so. I don't think they're from our future or our past. I don't think we can even comprehend what they are. Are they a part of us? Well, I would say so because they're bipedal. They have legs and arms and eyes. They look similar to us, so I would say they have to be related to us in some way. But are they us in the future, or are they a part of our distant past? I don't know. I don't claim to know. I think it's infinitely more complicated than we can even understand. That's just my opinion. But I do think that they're watching us, and with the limited information that I know, my hypothesis that they're watching us appears to be more and more true every single day. I think they have a specific interest in preppers, rural communities, farmers, and people that they believe will survive in the event of the collapse of civilization. I believe that preppers are the chosen ones of these beings. They know we are going to survive. It cannot go unnoticed that many preppers have had strange dreams. Preppers have had very strong, powerful spiritual experiences and dreams. And you'll notice that many preppers may start out militaristic at first, and as time progresses, they get very community like. And you've noticed this spiritual progression has happened in me, and I accredit this to some very powerful, moving, emotional experiences that I had involving beings from other places. And I don't want to go into everything, but people that personally know me know that I've had a profound spiritual transformation, and I'm here to tell you it is as a result of contact with higher forms of intelligence. And I'm not claiming to have been abducted. I don't know if, to be honest with you, I don't know if I have been. I wouldn't be able to know if I have been or not, to be honest with you. Um, but I will say that during dreams and states of altered forms of consciousness, I have had some pretty compelling spiritual interactions, and I don't want to go into every single one that I had. It's deeply personal, but it has led me to a reevaluation of many of my beliefs, and including many of my political beliefs, which people have noticed. And it's not that my beliefs have changed; it's just that they're infinitely more nuanced than they used to be. On a pragmatic day-to-day level, a lot of my beliefs are largely the same, but there's just more empathy. I have more empathy than I used to have. um, and I do understand that empathy can be weaponized, and that it needs to be reciprocated. I do understand that, but I do have a more responsible vision of what it means to be a prepper. Let's just say that I definitely have evolved spiritually. I'm not the same person I was even a year ago. Um, and I think this is only the beginning. I think, there's always room for even more spiritual growth. And I just wanted to let you guys know, this is my hypothesis. I believe we're being watched, and I believe that we are going to probably inherit some type of new world. Guys, let's face it. Every YouTuber wants to sell you something. I'm no different. And the thing is, the shit I'm offering is actually kind of cool. So that's the thing, right? Buy my T-shirts, or don't. I don't give a fuck, man. Just subscribe and hit the like button. If you like the T-shirts, you could buy one. I don't give a shit, man. You know what I mean? You don't buy one. Don't buy my T-shirts. I don't give a shit. I got soda cans everywhere. It's 3 a.m. I'm talking about aliens. What the fuck is going